This is Dylan, and this is his E36 M3 Evo track car. Dylan is a professional motorsports driver and E36 enthusiast, and we got the opportunity to talk to him about what it's like racing professionally and get a breakdown on some of his unique cars. First up, we're going to be breaking down his M3 build, starting off with checking out what's under the hood. This is a fully factory engine bay. That doesn't mean it's slow or anything. This is an M3 Evo.
So it's different to your standard M3. So your standard M3 is a 3 litre. This is a 3.2, so it's essentially a stroker motor. Evos come with a 6-speed manual gearbox and then a large case rear end.
So the interior is probably where this car has been changed the most.
There's no weight involved in this car. Best thing you can do is make it as light as possible. So we've got plastic windows everywhere around besides the front window. We've got a national spec cage.
Got a pretty nice short shifter mount here.
Yes, that's my favorite one. My dad's not a fan of it, but it's definitely my favorite one.
Well, yeah, that sounds like our dads and our short shifters too.
It looks sequential, but it's still a H pattern, but it's very, very short. When you go sequential gearbox, obviously when you're changing gears, it's a lot shorter. Their ratios are really, really short. It's a dog box essentially.
Yeah.
So when you're coming out of the corner, you're just plucking gears, whereas this one, you're still in a gear waiting and then you're shifting. Sequential, you're taking at least 1.5 seconds off your time.
And so this is your favorite part of the car, the brakes.
Brakes. We've got a set of TBS brakes, front and rear. They are the biggest brakes you can get in a BMW on a 17-inch wheel. Under braking, it's phenomenal.
How much would that kind of brake setup cost?
This setup, you're looking pretty close to 20 grand.
Wow.
Yeah.
More than both my cars combined in that brake setup.
And then at the same time, we've got AO50s running on tires, so Yokohamas. They're the best tire you can run on an M3, I reckon, in my opinion. So we run KW coilovers in this car. The setup that's in it is pretty much based off a car that KW has over in Germany that's got the record for the fastest lap around Nürburgring.
Now here's a question that I wanted to know since I watched one of your videos, because you do vlogs. Do you want to shout out the channel?
Dylan Pereira. It's got Facebook, Instagram, and on YouTube. I've started YouTubing this year, so it's not the greatest.
It's still really interesting stuff, just seeing you go about all of your racing journey. The one thing I wanted to know is, why is the size of the spaces a secret?
And you can have spaces, which we do run spaces on this car. We'll not tell you what size spaces because that's a secret. Size of the spaces are a secret because a lot of people run a pretty similar rim and tire combo. The reason why it's a secret is because I don't understand how we can fit what we've got underneath the guards. Factory guards.
So they ask you, people go, how do you fit that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So to fit this size tire with a size rim under factory guards, it's not easy.
Okay.
So it is a secret. Motorsport, unfortunately, there's a lot of secrets. As much as you're friends with everyone, it's a competition.
So you're running a KW suspension setup. Why did you go with KW?
Just the support that they have. All the old touring cars, DTM cars, they all run KW. I mean, they've been around for years. If there's something we're not happy with or anything like that, we obviously get into talks with Scuderia, Auto Art and KW, and we tell them our issues and stuff like that, and they give us recommendations on what to change and stuff like that. So there's a whole lot of backing in KW.
Do you think suspension is the most important part of a car, of a race car?
A lot of people would say horsepower, but to me, it's definitely suspension setup.
And we've got a custom exhaust on the back, and here's what that sounds like. It's pretty loud. It's pretty loud.
Lord.
Damn, that's loud. So why race a 30-year-old BMW?
I've always grown up with E36s, and it's always been a dream to own an E36 M3. When the opportunity came to buy it, I had to buy it.
Because you've had a few E36s, so you must, obviously that was a good buy, but you have some love for the 36s.
Always been around E36s. I think we stopped counting at 10. I had 10 E36s in the past 6 years.
That's a lot.
I don't know, it's just I got baby photos of me as a toddler in an E36. So I've always been around an E36. All the E36s I've owned, other than the M3, I bought for less than $1,000.
Wow, that's crazy. that's really cheap.
So the gold Beamer in the back,
yeah,
I bought that for $700.
Do you have photos of what it looked like before?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, well, we'll put some photos up of what the car looked like for $700. That's crazy.
9 years ago, $700 for it.
How do you prepare for a track?
2 weeks before an event, the car gets put on the hoist. It gets a massive safety check overall, so make sure all the nuts and bolts are tight, everything that moves is tight, like it's secure. We drop the oil, no matter if it's done one round. So after every round, oil gets dropped, new oil filter. It gets a nice service, gets a good wash, and it has to be loaded on the trailer a week before the race. We don't want it to leave last minute. We don't leave things last minute, you know.
Opposite of us. Like as a training regimen to keep like your skills and stuff, well, like are you racing a lot? Are you sim racing?
Yeah, so I work for Skid Control, like as you guys would know when you come to the skid pan. On the weekends that I'm not racing, I'm either at the skid pan or at the racetrack working for Skid Control. And then during the week, if I have time after work, I'll be on the simulator. The simulator is a good thing to get, like keep up to date with like your braking and your skills and stuff like that and knowing where the track is. I can't say it's 100% accurate. Like I learned that when going to Nürburgring, you don't have the elevation changes. It's not as shown in video games as what it is in real life, but it definitely gives you a grasp of where you are on the track. So simulator is a very, very good thing to get into. When you race with other people online or anything like that, it's pretty good because you can see how far you can push your limits. And then if you do have a crash, just press reset. You mentioned that you started very young driving. Back in South Africa, I moved here, like our family moved here when I was 12. So back in South Africa, Dad was very well connected there. So my sister and I used to race. I started racing go-karts when I was 5. So I've been in the karts since I was 5. And then when we moved here, we obviously didn't have as much of a connection because when you move halfway around the country, you don't really have friends or anything like that. So it's where we are now is building that relationship. So that's where Dylan came in and he helped us out. So at the age of 13, when I got the gold Beamer, he was like, okay, now it's time to start. You've been racing go-karts for so long. It's time to get into a real car. Started off at the skid pan, Mount Cotton skid pan. So I've been there for quite some time now. We started off there and Dylan is more of a drifter. So he taught me a lot more about drifting and then Dad taught me a lot more about circuit racing. How does your mum feel about you racing with like dangers and stuff? It's actually quite funny. She gets so nervous when I'm racing. Like she'll chew her nails off. That's how nervous she gets. But the whole reason why I got the M3 is actually because of her. Oh really? Yep, so my mom's, she won't show that she's interested, but she is very interested. When this came up for sale from a friend of mine, which is actually Dylan, this used to be Dylan's old car. When he put it up for sale, she said to me, we're gonna go get it. So that's a cool mom. When mom says, we're gonna go get it, we're gonna go get it. We're not gonna say no. That's cool, that's cool. So she's very supportive, she's also nervous for your safety. So you've had a few crashes. The main one that I thought we could talk about was the one to the M3, I believe, end of last year, kind of with the suspension. Yes, that was a bit of a scare. Left front shock collapsed. So the coilovers, they were KWs. They came with the car. And when we originally bought it, we wanted to send it off to get serviced. But like I said before, there was no backing. We didn't know about Scuderia Auto Art in New South Wales, so we weren't sure who to send it to get serviced. So we said, okay, we'll do last year's season, and then at the end of the season, we'll send the coilovers to Germany if we can't find anyone and get them serviced. And unfortunately, at Morgan Park, the front left collapsed. It wouldn't allow me to brake because the front wheel was just hopping in the air. And unfortunately, there was a Mark 1 Mustang in front of me that unfortunately copped the brunt of me not being able to stop. So I essentially used them as brakes. Afterwards, how did you feel about racing? Were you like a bit nervous to go back? That accident, no. I'd say the accident at Lakeside, yes. Okay. Which accident was that? That was the one? That was in the older race car. Yeah, so not the M3. It was literally the first race when we got the race car finished. It was our first race with it. And going through the bus stop at Lakeside, I got tapped in the rear, which sent me off into the concrete wall.
Ooh.
After that, I was rushed to the medical room. Obviously, as anything in an accident at the track, you have to go to a medical room. And when I came back, I was very sore. And I was pretty scared to get back in the seat, but it's like my dad said, if you don't get back in the seat, you never will. The car was very bruised after that, but we managed to get it all neatened up and stuff like that, and we actually ended up going out and coming third that race. So,
that's good.
Yeah, that weekend, it was sad, but it was also good.
Yeah. People who are looking to get into motorsports, what would you recommend to them?
I definitely recommend doing sprint days, starting off with sprint days. I started off with the Gold Beamer, which was registered.
Yeah.
So that was a registered car. You obviously wouldn't want to use your daily, because if you break something, you can't get to work.
Should I drift my daily?
But definitely, yeah. So you start off with sprint days. You obviously don't want to go out and buy an expensive race car and then end up not liking it.
Cheap, do you reckon? Cheap cars?
Yeah, cheap cars like a Hyundai Getz or something like that. Because then you'd obviously pick a car that you want to evolve. So all the race cars we've built, they were street cars. We slowly evolved the car. So we'd start off with brakes, coilovers, then you'd start putting a roll cage in it. The biggest thing with getting into motorsport is you really have to enjoy it. So you have to go out and do events that make you decide if you want to do it, because your decision is, the biggest decision you'll make is when you put a roll cage in it. Once you put a roll cage in it, the car is pretty much useless for the street. So it's essentially just a race car. But definitely, skid pan days or just your sprint days or anything like that, general practice, anything like that is your stepping stone.
Obviously, one of the big barriers to entry to motorsports is the money. You've started getting sponsorships, so how do you fund kind of your motorsports at the moment? Is it through those?
Big chunk of that comes out of sponsors. Some sponsors pay for oil, so West End Service Centre, they sponsor us all the servicing, like all the oils for servicing, brake fluid.
Did you tell them you're in a BMW before they paid for that? You were like
100%. They knew straight up what they were getting to. Just any help is good help. Anything that doesn't have to come out of our pocket.
Do these people reach out to you, these sponsors?
Some of them have reached out, but it's mostly us going to them. We'll go to a company and we'll say, this is what I do. This is my race car. This is how much we're asking for if you're willing to do that. And this is the benefits you'll come out of. So like I have my YouTube channel, I have all my social media. The biggest thing also that helps is TV coverage. So when you tell them I have 2 or 3 rounds on TV,
they get more excited.
Exactly.
Because that's a lot more coverage.
Yeah.
What is the most prime spot on the car for a sponsor? Let's say we want to sponsor you.
Yep.
And we want the most prime spot on the car.
Prime spot.
How much would that cost and where is it?
I'd say the bonnet. The bonnet's probably one of the biggest ones, or on the doors. For last year's season was 20 grand.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. That's a bit of change.
Yeah. So it sounds a lot,
yeah.
But when you're in this, it's not a lot.
Oh yeah. Well, I think there's enough talking about racing. Maybe we can check out some of your other cars.
Yeah.
So we have here probably one of Brisbane's cleanest E36s that's on the street. And it's in a beautiful gold champagne color.
Yeah, cashmere beige is what they call it at BMW.
You've had it for 9 years. That's a pretty long time since you were how old?
12, 13, yeah.
And you bought this for how much?
$700.
$700. That's crazy. BMW prices have skyrocketed in Australia, so this would probably sell a fair bit more than that nowadays. Yeah. You've got AC Schnitzer wheels here.
Yep. There's quite a few things. So we've got the wheels, then interior we've got the shift knob, accelerator pedals, all of that is Schnitzer. We've got the handbrake handle, and then embroidered in the seats is Schnitzer as well.
This is very rare. I don't have this because I have AliExpress special. Genuine BMW M Sport badges.
Yep.
So on the back of this 36, we've got a HM Sports era style wing. We've got an LTW genuine spoiler on the back. BMW M Sport badge, again genuine, and we've got DTM pipes that look really sick, and to top it off, a Maxon design diffuser that just looks absolutely supreme. Overall, giving it a pretty good back end. And of course, you also have a Drift Silvia that you've just picked up recently.
Yep.
Took it to Matsuri a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
Which is a local drift event that happens once a year.
Twice a year.
Twice a year,
Yeah.
and it's pretty big, lots of cool drift cars.
Yeah.
So tell us about this car. Like, you've got the other cars, this is pretty different from your other cars.
Midlife crisis at the age of 22. I did have an E36 drift car, but I just kept breaking things, and I was like, I'm so sick of it. And this is a good friend of mine's old drift car. Like, I always wanted an S13, like that was my go-to JDM car. And I've never owned a JDM car, so when he told me that he'll sell it, I was like, well, this is the time to buy one.
Has it sold you on JDM cars? How do you feel about them now?
It's cool.
not as keen?
Yeah, like, I think if it was, because it's SR20DE, so if it was turboed, I think it would change my mind, but I still got a soft spot for German cars. So.
Yeah, this is definitely a drift car. Like, it's not clean at all compared to your other cars.
No.
But it is sick because drift cars are
clean.
sick. Yeah, it was at some point. Was it actually?
It was very clean before Matsuri.
But of course, on theme for all your other cars, everything here is genuine.
Yeah, so these are genuine SSR wheels, mesh wheels. They're 15-inch wheels, 15 by 9, I'm pretty sure. We had at Matsuri, there were professional Japanese drifters that came over.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they looked at this car and they were like, this is definitely probably one of the best S13s they've seen since being out of Japan.
So thanks to Dylan for letting us come check out his cool cars. Make sure to hit him up at his YouTube and Instagram, Dylan Pereira. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit like, subscribe, and let us know in the comments which one of these cars was your favorite. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.